Day 63. My heart races, louder than I'd like. This moment, it's not about titles or promotions or things you hang on a wall. It's not even about ambition or legacy. It's about something deeper. There's a kind of dream that doesn't live in awards or applause, but in the quiet hope that someone will choose to walk through life beside you, to hold your hand when everything falls apart, to laugh with you when the ordinary feels extraordinary, to go through the joys and pains of being a parent. Since I was a kid, I believed in that kind of love, the kind you find once if you're lucky and never let go. Tonight, I'm hoping I've found it, and I'm praying I don't mess it up.
I don't usually think much of these things. A date is a date. But my father's words linger in my mind, shifting how I see the world. If this doesn't work out, maybe it just means something better is waiting ahead. Or something worse, usually the latter in my life.
Day 64. I try not to think about it too much, but I believe it went well. I asked her if she'd like to see me again.
I told him I was hoping he would ask. He was a pleasant guy. His name is actually Guy. I laughed at that. What were the odds? He told me it's French, pronounced Guy, but everyone calls him Guy, so it stuck. Either way, he seems kind. We talked about work. He mentioned Zocads, but didn't go into detail.
Day 67. I didn't think my job was worth explaining, and there's no way I was going to bring up those stupid glasses. Sometimes I feel like a fraud for ever inventing them.
Day 70. This guy is really trying. I'm flattered. Sometimes it feels like too much, but I can tell it's genuine. And how can I fault someone for caring? This is all new to me.
Day 93. 1 month. I feel like I could buy a ring right now. I won't, of course, not yet. But I know. I will take it slow. Things couldn't be better, though. Zocads trusts me again and put me in charge of bigger projects. I should have trusted my instincts all along, instead of relying on analytics and glasses.
Day 100. My father and I have been talking more. He left abruptly a couple of months ago, but now he says his prayers were answered, more than he ever imagined. I told him about Guy. He barely let me finish before saying, "I told you so. Just open your heart and let fate do the rest."
Day 111. We talked about my job. I kept it simple. I'm just a numbers guy, nothing special. Technically, I can't talk about what I do as I have a non-disclosure agreement. But honestly, I don't think she cares. She doesn't want to talk about her family. I don't talk about my job. I think it's a silent deal.
Day 195. What does falling in love mean? Is a bunch of endorphins just popping off like fireworks when certain people do things for you? He's thoughtful in ways I didn't expect. I tell myself it's just the honeymoon phase, but maybe it's not just that. I've been fooled before, though, before I eventually let them down, or they do. Maybe, currently, I am slipping in love.
Day 200. It's been nearly 5 months now, and somehow, with every passing day, I find myself falling a little more. She's in everything I do, every decision, every late night, every hard moment. I think of her. On the worst days, when the weight of it all feels like too much, I remind myself why I'm still standing. I'm building something, not just a career, but a future. For her. All I want is to make her life brighter, softer, easier. Because loving her doesn't feel like a burden. It feels like purpose.
Day 360. He asked me to move in with him. Is 1 year too fast? I am not sure, but something about it feels okay. I call my dad to ask his advice. Without hesitation, he says to do it.
Day 380. We were just walking home, hand in hand. The kind of day that felt like we didn't have to worry about anything but be in the present. Then the sky broke open, no warning, just rain pouring down like it had been holding it in for years. We were too far from anything to run, so we just kept going. And I don't know what hit me, but I pulled her in close and started to dance. Right there, soaked to the bone. I leaned in and whispered, "Sooner or later, I'll be dancing with you again, and it'll be at our wedding."
Dear future wife, I've been waiting my whole life. Not for perfect, just for someone who feels right. I've prayed through silence and lonely nights. Didn't know your face, but I saw your light. They said there's plenty of fish, but I knew better. None could see me through this weather. Every year, every tear I pushed through was just one more breath, counting down to you. If I could go back, I'd tell that broken kid, all this pain, boy, leads to this. You were the reason I held on so long, even when I thought I had it all wrong. Now we're dancing in the rain like time stood still. Your laugh is a song I forgot was real. And I swear, love, if it's all I ever do, I'll spend my life counting down to you.
She laughed, not loud, just enough. Then she rested her head on my puddled shoulder like she believed me, like the rain didn't matter. I know I will think about that night for the rest of my life.
We came home from the rain, soaked right through. I caught myself in the mirror. Mascara smudged, hair a mess, water dripping off my jacket. I've seen my face like that before, so many times, but usually after crying. Today was different. I was smiling, a real one. It caught me off guard. I just stood there staring. I didn't even recognize myself, and it was good. Day 450. I laugh every time I think about it. We were walking home from a movie when this kid jumped out of nowhere trying to scare us. Guy threw himself in front of me like we were under attack. The kid had a twig as his weapon of choice. I've been in the streets. I've seen real threats. This kid was as dangerous as a stray puppy. But still, Guy's protectiveness was kind of awkwardly beautiful. The man couldn't swat a mosquito, but he stood tall like he was bulletproof. I gave the kid $5 and we kept walking. He earned it. I joked with Guy, no more movies. We'll just rent a video and make sure we rewind the tape before returning it. He had no idea what I was talking about.
Day 500. A few years ago, when I first joined ZOCADS, clients, young parents brought in a boy, seemed to have a learning disorder. We were asked to assess, to fix what we could. Someone suggested nanobots to kickstart emotion, mapping the brain to pinpoint where it needed more activity. The nanobots didn't work. No improvement. I was just starting out in the research and development department at ZOCADS. I suggested something else, an offshoot of what I did with FutureSpex. Instead of external lenses, the contacts were ingrained into the retina. They'd help the child perceive the world, filter emotions, teach him how to feel. We're approaching the end of the warranty period, and the parents are raving about the results. I promised the parents I'd check in from time to time. The retina implants took some fine-tuning, but we got it right. The most important portion was my suggestion where we helped the child understand through his vision as we observe, and it worked. Watching the world through the eyes of a child, helping shape how he perceives it, it was surreal. But it's one of my greatest accomplishments. I kind of indirectly bragged that I was involved with the project to her and not telling her how I actually led it. She seemed impressed. I'm getting more acknowledgement on the work I'm doing and get assigned other tasks. We're working on this memory extraction device. Please don't ask me how this was triggered.
Day 510. Guy seems to come in later and later. He says he has a non-disclosure at work that he really can't share what's going on. Never really cared too much. A job to me is a prison of invisible bars, where time is the sentence, and money the bail we pay to taste freedom on weekends, and in those few fleeting weeks we call vacation.
Day 515. I come home to her asleep. She wakes up before I do. We've become passing ships, and it's hollowing me out. I promised her things would change, and I meant it. I take myself off the next project assigned to me, only focusing on the one moving forward.
Day 521. I never knew I had favorite things. Funny how someone else noticed them before I did. He said he'd just make a note every time I mentioned one. Early dinners and being in bed before 10 is favored. Together. He understands. Maybe I am no longer slipping, perhaps tripping in love. Day 800. It's our 2-year anniversary. I told Guy not to do anything crazy. Maybe a stroll in the park, an ice cream, simple. But he told me to take the day off, then showed up with a limo to take us to a fancy hotel in the city. He booked the penthouse my father stayed in when he came for a visit. The elevator ride brought back memories, and when we walked into the suite, the 360-degree view was just as magnificent as I remembered. But this time, it was different. There were flower petals scattered, arrangements made for us. I remembered the times I was here with my father and where my life was then, compared to where I am now. I broke down. Guy didn't understand. He tried to console me, but that wasn't what I wanted. I didn't want him touching me. He was confused. So was I. I didn't know how to explain it, but everything was too perfect. I wasn't used to this. I was waiting for the ball to drop. I was waiting for Guy to do something to make me want to punch a wall. I was waiting for him to be annoyed by my habits. Instead, he just took everything in stride. 2 years of this. Being in a luxury suite that only diplomats can afford. Being given to me as a gift. I didn't know what to make of it. I told him I needed some space. In this 9,000 square foot suite, it was easy to find.
I didn't comprehend what was happening. Did I do something wrong? It's okay. I trust everything will be okay. Maybe tonight's not the right time for the ring.
Day 801. I feel bad for Guy. I see him moping around like a lost puppy. I don't even know how to put my feelings together. I don't expect him to either. I called my father. I showed him where I was, and he was impressed. He told me when I got back home, he'd gotten into a bit of trouble expensing his stay, but he said it was all worth it. I tell him about what I'm feeling, and he suggests I come down to Balapia with Guy. I actually like the idea, but I thought maybe I'd go on my own. I never introduced Guy to my dad yet. I keep hesitating. He says he'll arrange everything. Just tell him when. I go to tell Guy, and then he says something that catches me off guard.
Good morning, Bella. I don't know what you're going through, but before the day unfolds, there's something I need you to hear. Since I was young, I never stepped forward unless I was sure of the ground beneath me. I waited, calculated, chose the safe answers. But love? Love was the one thing that never came with certainty. It's wild and fragile and brave. And yet from the moment you stepped into my life, I knew it was worth the risk. Love isn't just holding hands or quiet dinners. It's the memories we build, the little moments we tuck away like photographs. I've tried to give you as many of those as I can, because you deserve a love that remembers. Maybe I've fallen short of what you hoped for. Maybe someone before me gave you grander things. But if you tell me where to aim, Mars, Jupiter, higher, I'll go. Every morning I look in the mirror and know I am better because of you, not because I have you, but because I'm standing beside someone I'd give anything for. Every part of me is yours, except my heart, because that's already been yours for a long time. Whatever you need, whatever it takes, just say the word. I'm here, always.
Maybe now I've really fallen. I understand it now. Day 810. Well, in a strange way, I get what I wanted on our 2-year anniversary, our first disagreement. Guy doesn't want me going to Balapia by myself. He wants to come. I tell him I will be fine. I tell him I'm not ready for him to see my family that I don't even know properly yet. He doesn't understand. He still refrains from raising his voice, but he is hurt. I feel bad for him, but I need this.
Hurt is not the word. I don't have to meet her family. She can lock me in a hut somewhere. I just want to be nearby, but she wants this for herself. I oblige, tearfully like a coward, but I oblige for her wishes.
Day 823. I say my goodbyes to Guy and head off to my homeland. It's about an 11-hour flight, time difference of about 7 hours, so we can catch each other about twice a day. I told him that he was probably neglecting work for me and for him to get back to him doing his greatness there while I am away. He smiled. Day 825. Was not expecting it to be this hot. Arriving at airport, I got the red carpet treatment. I saw the same bodyguards that I saw back home. They treated me friendly and took me to see my family. During the drive from block to block, it's like a different world. One area looks pristine and modern, and then you see tire fires and children begging for money. It's like you blink an eye and see a variation of a quality of life. But what I noticed most were the large billboards of my father, and the words, "The prophet sees all." Not too sure what that's about.
Day 827. We're still in beta of that memory extraction device. Still lots of rough edges to sand down before we go public. But the tests are promising. There's this kid, Clyde, intern from one of the local universities. Barely looks old enough to drive, but sharp. Got a kind of strange poetry to the way he thinks. He made one suggestion that stopped the whole room cold. If we can pull memories out of someone's mind, he said, why store them in anything bigger than a finger? One finger. That's it. Simple suggestion, but it makes a lot of sense. Because if it works, if this thing has legs, we're not talking about terabytes. We're talking millions of memories in something the size of a desk drawer. Entire lifetimes stacked like dominoes, quiet as breath. The implications of this will scare people. They should. You build a device like this and suddenly everyone's asking who decides what we remember, who gets to forget. This thing could be salvation or a scalpel, depending on who's holding it. But imagine the possibilities. A soldier rattled by a war he can't stop reliving finally gets a chance to sleep. A woman tormented by the echo of someone she's loved saying goodbye, silenced just like that. Or even the little things, those cringy moments that haunt you in the shower. Poof, gone. But me? I don't want to forget. I want to remember. I want to walk into a room and feel Bella's laughter again, see her smile. I want to visit the best parts of my life like they're rooms I can go back to. If I could, God help me, I'd spend the rest of my days replaying the last 2 years. On loop. Forever.
Day 860. Talked with Guy. I congratulated him on his new secret project. He tells me they gave him another promotion. Wants to surprise me with it when I get home. I tell him about my trip so far, how I met half my siblings. Tell him about the newborn baby named Grayton, and how so many kids in this country started being named after my dad, or at least his last name. I said it's a wonder seeing all these brilliant minds in one place. I tell him I'm still waiting to meet my father, but he is out and about in his travels through the country to see what else he can fix. Apparently, what I have been told, he will look at a problem, go into isolation, and come up with a solution. He's been right time after time, already produced books about all this. I did get a chance to meet Dr. Sharpay, though. Such a soothing soul. He's been deemed the doctor of mind. He helps people battling with the different anxieties and symptoms. He maintains the order within the country. He tells me of the great things my father does for the country. Sometimes it's out there, but it works. Rest of my days are between these beautiful hotels, but would love some time with my dad.
Day 861. I haven't heard from Bella in a little bit, and I'm kind of worried. I know how annoyed she gets when I chase her too much, so I'll leave it at that. Day 867. Still haven't heard from her, and I've been dialing and texting, trying to get a hold of her. I start dialing random numbers and Balapian area codes to see if I can get through to anybody. I ask my company if they can look up people who came to visit us. Nothing.
Day 873. I get to Guy. I have been in the hospital the past few days, if not weeks. I have lost track of time. I got infected with something. We're hoping it's not the mind venom, but for precaution, I take the cure that my father and his team invented. It's like a sunscreen that you rub over your body, and hopefully it does the trick. I do feel better. The cognivore virus, or mind venom, is supposed to wipe some memories. I haven't lost any of my memories as of yet, but I am bedridden. I am enclosed in this bed covered by plastic curtains like I am in a jar. First time seeing my father was in the hospital through the fogged-up curtains. My father and his family have all come out to nurse me back to health, though. This is something I wish I had growing up. What a beautiful memory to behold.
Day 874. I'm trying to book a flight to Balapia, but Bella forbids it. She says she'll be back home soon. She sounds awful, but I trust her. She tells me her family is taking care of her and not to worry. To get my mind off it, I keep working on development of the memory extraction device. I wish I could zap my own brain, take away the memory that I let Bella go to Balapia.
Day 876. My stay has been extended. What was supposed to be 2 weeks has turned into a month. I take sick time off, but it's worth it. I feel okay, and my father decides to take me on his missions around the country. I see him writing everything in his journal and take a deep breath each time. I'm trying to process what he's processing, but he's on a different wavelength than I, or so I thought. That's when I see it. These glasses. I don't know why my eyes picked it up, but those silly glasses. At first I didn't think much of it, but I have never seen those glasses anywhere but on Guy. I remember I brought it up with Guy one time, and he said he left it at a restaurant somewhere and never brought it up again. I don't know why my mind was so magnetized to it, so I asked my father about them. He became a little startled and almost seemed embarrassed. I asked if I could see them, and he tried to change the subject. He took me to the place of the student slaughter, the Palapian student massacre, where 17 out of 18 students were killed before they could carry out their protest. The one surviving student was actually Dr. Sharpay. That definitely took my mind off the glasses.
Day 880. Bella's coming back any day now, and just in time. I got the memory extraction device completed. I honestly think this device will change the world, and hopefully she'll be proud that she gets to become part of history.
Day 881. Today is my last day in Balapia. I'm going to miss this place. I've never had more of a belonging than being here. I am already planning on being back next year, most probably being Guy as well. When I go to say goodbyes to everyone, I walk up to my dad's office to say my thanks for having me, but he wasn't there. However, I see the glasses on his study. Something came over me to grab them. I wanted to question him about them, Nothing serious, but what the deal was. But somewhere between grabbing them for nothing and the numerous relatives that came to say goodbye to me and boarding the flight, I forgot all about them. I mistakenly had kept it in my purse without paying attention. Day 882. When the plane lands, I see about 30 missed calls from my father. He asked if I took the glasses, and he's going a little wild. I said I saw them in the study, but don't remember everything after that. He tells me to check everywhere, but I already know it's in my purse. It's a little embarrassing, so I don't say anything. Figured I would just mail it to my dad. But I wanted to surprise Guy when I see him. So when I go to the washroom airport to freshen up, I put it on the glasses for a second, and I see these are some futuristic glasses. It almost looks like I am a RoboCop or some sort of alien analyzing everything. Little creepy, honestly. Put them right back in the purse. Day 886. I still haven't told Guy about those glasses. I put them on again. I had them on for a split second and was thinking out loud, and it gave an almost movie showing of how everything will work out. I asked what is best decision to make with these glasses. It asked me to bury it somewhere. It seems like a very intelligent entity, and honestly, without putting more bad vibes out there, I do what it asked me to do. I feel like this is the device that my father's abilities comes from. My father has gone mad thinking about those glasses, and it's one of those things where too much time has now flown for me to even tell him I have them. It's funny, 'cause it's like a version of things that could happen when I was a child.
Day 887. Bella doesn't seem as interested in my job as I thought she would be. She seems distressed and distracted. I try to cheer her up by showing her what the memory extraction device can do, how I can take her memories and keep them locked somewhere safe. I physically do it on her. It's like a 3-minute process, which she's super annoyed by. I take her memories, who she is as a person, and show her the little cylinder where her memories, her very essence, now sit. "Isn't this incredible?" I said, holding up the cylinder. "Everything that makes you, you, right here." She barely looked at it, just nodded like her mind was somewhere else entirely. I give her space. If only she knew she doesn't have to carry this weight alone anymore. Not when I'm around.
Day 890. I get a letter from the doctor saying all of the networks and phone lines have been shut down. They have been trying to reach me, but my father is basically in his deathbed. They don't have the answers of what's happening to him. When I finish reading the letter, I start feeling a little woozy. Day 894. I start feeling the same symptoms I had back in Balapia. Guy sees something is wrong and calls 911. The paramedics rush to our place and get me as quickly as they can to the hospital. I don't remember much getting admitted, but I wake up from time to time to see Guy by my side on my hospital bed. Day 897. My mom comes in every so often, but Guy is a mess. He tells me he will find a cure. I tell him, don't worry, Balapia has a cure, but he responds it was for the first strand. I'm patient 1 on the west side, and this is probably the second strand. I find out my father is recovered, which relieves me. I should be recovered soon, too.
Day 1000. Bella never recovers. She was suffering. The medical staff told me there's not much they can do and asked my consent to pull the plug. I couldn't do it. Her mother does it. She couldn't watch the pain. And just like that, she's gone. Day 1001. I'm in shambles. My first and only love, gone. I don't know what to do. I get a call from a doctor who asks that I arrange to send the body back to Balapia. They will give it a proper celebration. I arrange with Bella's mom. We are both scared to travel there because of the virus, but in all this sadness, I'm overwhelmed. I can barely hold myself together. Day 1005. The doctor calls again just to check in, out of respect. He says, "Our bodies may wither and die, but our spirit and essence will always remain." Day 1010. I go back to work. I sit at my desk, the lights hum. I stare at the screen. Nothing happens. I think of Bella. How much she carried, how much she lost. She had plans. We had plans. We were close. She almost made it. I wish the world had given her just one more morning. Day 2056. A colleague from Zocats comes to our R&D unit. His daughter attempted suicide and is now basically catatonic. He says the daughter just stares, won't speak, won't eat. He's desperate. He asks if there's anything we can do. Everyone in the lab goes quiet. But I speak up. I tell him to bring her in. Day 2063. My coworker, his name is Evan, finally brings his daughter. She's young, maybe early 20s, looks older in the silence. She's just vacant, staring into space. I guide her into one of the pods. I try something. I don't know if it'll work, but we've taken memories out of people. We've never implanted memories into anyone. My theory is that this might provide a jump start. So I implant Bella's stored memories, everything I extracted from her that night, into the young lady. It takes time, but eventually she wakes up. She looks at me, and she says, "Hi, Guy." I don't say a word about what I've done. Not to her father, not to anyone. I just smile and reply, "Hi, Eve."
Thanks for listening. Please subscribe to our channel for more stories and series. Again, please follow us on X at WordLimit and Instagram at WordLimitPod, or visit us at wordlimit.com, where we strive to connect and never lose your attention.